Hello everyone, welcome to Visuddha Congregations. Thank you for taking your time to watch our video. Have you ever wondered what exactly is the difference between custom, culture, or tradition? If you take a moment now and type these terms in Google and try to find out the difference between each of these, you would see thousands of different definitions, and you would be really surprised that how deep of a definition does each of these terms carry. So I thought, okay, I will try to make this simple for you in this video. If you compare these three terms, right, the only difference between each of these terms is the space and the time at which these operate. Now, for example, if we have to talk about a culture, it's about certain practices or habits that a particular group of people, maybe the smaller group I can say, have followed in a particular time frame. And when it comes to tradition, it has something to do with the longevity of these habits. Like people passed these from generations to generations and they continued following it. And when it comes to culture, it's still broader. Maybe that's why we say, okay, this is a culture in our country. Okay, but when it comes to your family habits, you say, okay, this is our custom in our family, right? So it's only the scale, okay, scaled up with respect to the space, scaled up with respect to the time. That is when these terms differ from each other. But one thing in common out of all these three is the platform. The platform for all these three is civilization. Okay, and when you try to apply the logic behind a custom or a tradition or a culture that is being followed, and when you try to validate the logic and try to consider the factor of the locality or a group of people or time during which a certain practice is being followed, these two terms, these three terms should be one and the same. Wonder how? Let me explain you. Let me take a moment to explain you through a small story. Okay. Once upon a time, in a village, there lived a person along with his wife and his children, and he's trying to do a ritual at his home called Shraddha Karma, tasks that have to be performed for the well-being of the departed soul of their immediate family members. Okay, and in his home, he had a pet. He had a pet cat. So during this ritual, Havan, and all these activities, this cat continued to mess up stuff at home. And obviously, it's a lot of disturbance for him to handle it during this ritual. So, what he did, he took a large basket, okay, and he put that basket over the cat just so that the cat doesn't move here and there, and he was able to finish his tradition, finish his task. And his son, having watched this for 10 to 15 years, his father doing this, without knowing the intent behind this act, he tried to mimic the act during his tenure when he was trying to do Shraddha Karma for his father, he continued to put that cat under the basket. Yes, he did this. And one generation later, they do not have a pet cat at their home, but still they believed that yes, a cat is necessary to be able to perform this ritual at my home. So he went to the streets, asked someone if they can lend their cat for a day to finish this act at his home. He brought the cat, put the basket on the top of it, and then continued performing the Shraddha Karma. And the next generation after that, he doesn't know what to do. Okay, he went across the streets or to find a cat. Unfortunately, he couldn't find a cat that someone could offer him for this ritual. Then came some priests in the locality coming up with a solution, and one of the priests claimed that yes, there is an alternate for this ritual as per our scriptures. Okay, remember Ramayana when Lord Rama was performing um, Ashwamedha Yaga, and his wife Sita is not next to him at that point in time. So he made an idol with resembling Lord Sita, and he performed the Ashwamedha Yaga. So this proves that yes, when you do not have a cat at your home, you can make a cat out of gold and then donate it to a Brahmin as a dana, and this will fulfill your karma. And he continued doing that. Now you see, in a span of 3 generations, how a very simple common sense to prevent the noise from a cat, just putting it under the basket, have turned into a must and should act to be performed in a ritual, and also an overhead for the subsequent generations in affording for the relevant cost and doing this. Due to the ignorance or people not really willing to spend some time understanding the rationale behind certain acts that are being followed in their families, and of course thanks to our previous generations who put their best efforts to preserve some culture and tradition in us, in our generation too. But we also have to understand the fact that most of the acts that we follow today carry 20% truth and 80% of just beliefs, which are irrational in nature. So next time when you come across certain acts in your family where you're asked to do certain thing which doesn't make sense to you, try to put a question across and try to get some kind of a artifact or a rationale behind it. Just try to say, okay, if this is what we have to do, try to show me something, maybe a Sanskrit sloka or maybe a kind of a statement written in some books, something or the other that would really give us a glimpse of why certain aspect had to be followed. If not, we instead of marching towards enlightenment, we are marching towards ignorance. Thank you.